Hello there. In this video, you will learn about entities in ACDI reports, what they mean, how to create reports with entities, as well as how to manage entity filters, and display attributes of secondary entities in final reports. If you need a report that will display values for different objects linked with each other by an attribute, like groups and its members, roles and users, role requests, provers, requester, request, recipient, etc. You must add a secondary entity or entities to a report. Let's create a report that will show you data about all roles assigned to a user. This report will be created based on data from the snapshot. In ACDI, there is a default users report that has only one entity, namely a user from a snapshot. There are also some filters for this user, and the report displays a list of attributes in the result table. Here is what you need to do. First, create a secondary entity, role, and link it with the existing one. For this, go to Report Editor. Choose a report that you want to use as a template. Click Save As. And give it a new name. Now save. Your custom report will appear on the reports list. You may want to update some tags to use them later for placing the report in an appropriate submenu. Let's go back to an entity. Here you see that the base entity snapshot has a query. Object class, netiq person. This means that this entity will display information only about users from a snapshot. Indices with the prefix report contain data from snapshots. Okay, let's copy this entity and update the copy with customized properties. Let's change the query. You know that roles have the class nrf role. The date-time entry remains the same as for the copied entity, as do the entity index and entity primary key entries. The next step is to create a link between the two entities. Roles are linked to users via different attributes. nrf assigned roles is an attribute that shows direct role assignments. And the nrf member of attribute contains dn of roles, assigned via different ways, even using a nested child role assignment. Let's use the nrf member of attribute. As you can see here, it contains a strict dn. This means that for the entity role, you need to use dn for the source attribute. Here, term must be selected because it's a strict dn. Okay, you don't need any post-processing. And want to link the role to an entity snapshot. Snapshots attribute is nrf member of. One user may have many memberships, as you can see in this example. So, you linked entities from one side. And now let's do it from the side of the primary entity. The source attribute here is nrf member of. Destination entity name. Role. Destination attribute, DN. Select here Many to 1. Let's save the settings. It's time to add a few filters for a role. Let's assume you will want to filter by CN. Then the filter's name here will be role CN. And role will be selected for entity. Save everything. Okay, let's check this report. Go to Reports, and then to Custom Reports, which shows all reports with the tag Custom. You can see your report here. Let's click Load. Okay, the report shows that in the last snapshot, there are 216 roles and 647 users. Let's use a filter and check users who are members of the report admin role. According to the data displayed, this role is assigned to 12 users. Let's run the report. Now you see all users and their information. You will probably want to display information about the roles themselves. Let's then add additional data to the role entity. Go to the Result Table Attributes, where you can remove user attributes you don't want to be displayed. And add a new field for entity role. First of all, we need to create a field for the entity itself. You need to enable Use Attribute for Entity Object. Assign the entity and give it a custom name. Let's use role info for the alias name for the attribute. For now, there will be no changes here. To get additional attributes for secondary entities, you need to create more attribute fields with the switcher turned off. And now here you set the attributes you want to be displayed in the final report. Add NRF localized names. And also NRF localized deskers. Entry here, role description. and change this entry to role name. Let's save the changes and check the report again. Refresh the page. After a role is selected, you see that there are 5 users. And the additional column with role info. The roles have long descriptions and names with all localizations available. This info can be handled with the help of post-processing. Let's create a post-processing function and give it a name, getLocang. Here you have a ready-to-use function that will do the post-processing for you. Now save the changes in your report and implement them to attributes you want to be processed by this function. Go to the attribute, select the function name, and enable post-processing. You need to do it for the localized names and localized deskers attributes. Now, let's check roles for a test user. This user does have roles, so let's run the report. You see all the information about the role in a comprehensible way. What can be done to make this report a bit more user-friendly? The first thing that you can do is to make this column a bit wider. For this, you need to go to the Entity attribute and set the column width to 600. Okay, now it's wider. The second thing is to switch the view to a flat format. This means that each role will have a separate row in the result table. Let's enable flat format with this switcher and run the report again. So you can see here that the table has a flat view or row per role. And columns for each secondary entity are displayed. But what can you do if entities are linked with some attributes that are located inside a CSV string or inside XML or JSON? Let's see. NRF assigned roles or the direct role assignment. You see here that the user object contains an attribute with a CSV format inside it. And the DN of the role is the first part of this string and is separated with the hash symbol. So somehow you need to parse this DN from on one hand, and on another hand, you need to set it as a regular expression. What can be done in this case? You can use regex functionality and post-processing. Let's go back to post-processing. In this video, functions prepared beforehand will be used to transform the strings. The first one will be named relation role fix2. And with this function, you will get the first substring from this string. Separated by a hash. The second function will be named relation role fix_from. And it will create a regular expression that will allow you to find the value you need. Let's save everything and go back to entities. From the snapshot side, you will need to use term because you will have dn in a user. And it will relate to relation role fix2. Let's enable transformation and link the secondary entity by exact data time. From the role side, you'll need to update this linkage to regex regular expression and switch to relation role fix_from. Make sure you don't forget to enable transformation. You must also change the name of the attribute, because previously you used nrf member of, and now you will be using nrf assigned roles. The same values must be set in two entities. Okay, let's save the changes and check the results. Refresh the page. And run the report. Here are the results. You can learn more about the options and possibilities of ACDI reporting in Skype Pro Academy. Thank you for your attention and take care.